Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for being here. My name is Andrew, coming to you from the beautiful Carolinas. Today's topic is going to be how the narcissist keeps you hanging on. Think about that for a minute. Everyone, if you like the content, please like, subscribe, and share. So when you were in the narcissistic relationship, you were hanging on. You were hanging on tooth and nail when you were in that devaluation stage. What you were doing is you were hoping that the narcissist would change. You were believing in their words, although their actions did not match their words. You were believing that you were doing the best you could to keep that relationship together. You were the glue that kept the relationship together, despite the fact that the narcissist was trying to drive a wedge between you, them, and you, and anything that mattered, which included that relationship. This is why so frequently on the channel and in videos I mentioned to you that when you're in the zombie-like, trance-like state, that narcissistic fog, it is a real place. It exists, and it is not a place where you ever want to go back to again, because you lost your sense of self. You became a shell of yourself. You lost your identity to the narcissist, and they knew this. They knew exactly where they had placed you, and they kept you there as long as they possibly could. They kept you hanging on. They kept you believing that all the future faking that they did with you would actually come to fruition. They kept you believing that yes, they would try harder, and that yes, their behavior could improve, and that yes, they will not stay away for weekends at a time. And yes, they will be there for you when you get sick or you get injured or you lose your job or you have something that you need to express with them. But all of these things are all smoke and mirrors. We now know the narcissist is a self-serving person. They care about only themselves. And it took us quite a long time for most of us to figure out what narcissism was and how it affected us for a period of time up until this moment in time in your life. You see, you weren't taught this in school. And you also weren't supposed to figure out that narcissism is prevalent on the planet. You also weren't supposed to break the trauma bond, and you weren't supposed to have boundaries. You weren't supposed to look around with the new set of eyes you have and identify in a moment who a toxic person is, or if you want to spend time with them, or if you believe them. Because we now know that most people on the planet don't think the way we think. We now know that narcissism is prevalent. And we now know that many people, including in our own immediate families, may be envious of us, jealous of us. They may not even want us to succeed. It wasn't just the narcissist. There are toxic people all around us. They're everywhere. Now, I am not a doom and gloom person. I am a presenter of the truth. And I'm here to let you know that if you've gone through the narcissistic abusive cycle, you have beaten something that you did not even know that you needed to beat. You've now become awakened and aware, educated and empowered, and no longer are you hanging on the hollow words of the narcissist or of anybody, because actions do speak louder than words. And what you've seen in your life up until this point has baffled you. It's miffed you. It's kept you scratching your head. Why aren't more people like me? Why aren't more people empathetic? Why are more people taking and taking and taking, and when they're done, they want to take more? It's because the world we currently live in is making a dynamic energy shift, and you are a part of it, whether you know it or not. But the energy shift, my hope, is it's headed in the right direction, which means we no longer are giving the toxicity of the planet all of the attention. Think about when you were younger, the newspaper. Well, what usually sold the most newspapers? It was doom and gloom. It was all the negativity. Now you fast forward that, newspapers are almost defunct. If they're not, they probably are very close to being defunct. But now what sells? Same thing on the internet. All of the drama, the manipulation, the people breaking other people's hearts, all of the negativity, it gains the most attention. Now, should it be that way? Not at all. It should be about the heroes in today's life. It should be about the people who are paying it forward, the people who are paving the way for another generation, the people who are believing in themselves, the people who have come through the narcissistic abusive cycle, the people who now identified toxicity no matter where they see it, and they decided to take action and to do something, to stand up for themselves, to not call out the narcissist, to not bring attention to them necessarily, but rather to save their energy for themselves. Because at their core, the narcissist, not only did they want you hanging on, but they did not want you to break free. And that is exactly what they do. They take, example, Barbie and Ken dolls, which one of those was you, and they try to place you up on a shelf and take you down and play with you or use you whenever they want to, and then put you back up, hoping at a later date to return back to you. That's the narcissistic abusive relationship in a nutshell. It's always the push-pull, the high-low, the roller coaster of emotions, you hanging on to the shreds of a relationship that was decimated days, weeks, months, years, maybe even decades before, but you didn't have the wisdom back then. Now you have the wisdom and you are applying the tools, and you will understand that toxicity, no matter where it is, on a train, a plane, an automobile, in a newspaper, on the internet, there's no room for it. Why would you consume toxicity? All it does is it breeds more and more toxicity. And that is the direction the planet is headed in, unfortunately. My hope is we can reverse that, and we can spread more love and abundance and growth and happiness and joy and fortitude and belief in ourselves. That is my path. That is your path. But the narcissist is not included in that path. You see, the narcissist has had too many people hanging on for way too long. And now the narcissist is understanding that their days are limited. It's not cool to be the narcissistic abusive person. It's not cool to be a person who was abused and you didn't even know what you were up against. What is cool is understanding who you are and how powerful you are, and embracing your authenticity, embracing your uniqueness, no matter how you look, no matter what your education is, no matter what your background is. Again, if you have been through the cycle, you know what I'm talking about. So many people have not gone through the narcissistic abusive cycle, and that's a good thing. My hope is that no one ever in the future will ever experience a toxic narcissistic person, but unfortunately that's not reality. The other part I want to share with you here is the hanging on part. When you are hanging on to something, a little glimpse of the future or a little glimpse of what once was, that is not a good thing. Again, you didn't know what you were up against. You weren't taught any of this in school, but now you know what triangulation is. You now know what a smear campaign is. You now know what object constancy is. You know what mirroring is, projection, gaslighting, stonewalling. You know what all these behaviors are. And you now know and can recognize when this is trying to be done to you again. That's when you don't take the bait. That's why when you are, perhaps, example, going out and looking to date again, well, maybe somebody looks absolutely beautiful, a beautiful person. Maybe they look like a supermodel. Fantastic. Well, once you get to know them a little bit, maybe after a few days, weeks, or months, you see some cracks in the armor, and you see some of the old behaviors bubbling up to the surface, and you say to yourself, wait a minute, I saw this before. I don't need to be a part of this. So you pull back. Maybe you even go no contact and block that person. And then you understand, wait, I just dodged another bullet. But wait a minute, that person was so beautiful and they looked so amazing. Yeah, that's probably how you entered the first narcissistic relationship. Or maybe it was their intelligence, or maybe it was their charm. Whatever lured you into the relationship, something caught your eye. And now you know that you can't go back to another relationship like that, because you can't unsee what you've seen. Think about all the sleepless nights you had when you were hanging on. Think about all the texts you would send and you wouldn't receive a reply for another day or a couple days, and you were hanging on. Think about all the times you went to pick up the narcissist and you were waiting for them, you were hanging on. Think about when you were discarded and you didn't have the wisdom. You were hanging on to a glimmer of hopes then that the narcissist wasn't, in fact, as bad as you thought they were. But after a period of time, you found that needle in a haystack and you realized, wow, they weren't as bad as I thought. They were actually worse than I thought. And they can't change. They can't introspect. They're only getting worse over time, because that's what happens to the narcissist. They become the aging narcissist, and over time they deteriorate. And when you were in the relationship with them and you were the sounding board and the walking apology and the unpaid helper and the person who was providing for the narcissist, you were taking the hits left, right, and center. Your health took a hit, your finances took a hit, your status took a hit, your social circle took a hit, your resources and your relationships all took hits, your hobbies took a hit. All these things I mentioned because they're real. Now, once you removed yourself, or you were removed from the narcissistic abusive cycle, you slowed your life down. You really had to process things. You had to heal childhood wounds, or journal, meditate, see a therapist, watch videos, read. You had to really rebuild. You had to understand that a lot of people from that period of time when you were in the relationship, they weeded themselves out, because many people grabbed their popcorn and watched your life implode. Others were toxic themselves, and other people had their own issues going on, but very few people, if any, checked in on you. And if anyone checked in on you back then when you were discarded, they are a very strong person, most likely. But all these things I'm sharing with you, when you were hanging on to what once was, it's not a good space to be, because you're believing that the narcissist one day perhaps will give you closure, or that they can change, or they really did love you, or that they aren't the person that you believed that they were. And we now know that the further you get away from the relationship, the more you heal. And the healing path is not linear. It takes time, a lot of time, but in your time you will heal. But when you really wrap your head around the fact that the narcissist doesn't think anything like you, and they looked at you as a host, and they were the parasite, and they're trying to take as much from you as they can, and that's what they did. And when they discarded you, they didn't think you would ever make it, but you did, and here you are. When you understand all those things, that's just one person out of 8 billion. There are way more narcissists than just that one person, and they will keep coming at you until you have boundaries, until you understand the message, which is you have to understand that you are the priority. you come first, second, and third. And you no longer just look at a pretty package or a handsome package and say, yeah, that person's amazing. I don't care what they do behind the scenes. They're just beautiful. No, we don't do that. We now listen to the words and we watch the actions. And if we see cracks in the armor or red flags, we pay attention to them. We also trust our instincts and our intuition. And we now know that we are a totally different version of ourselves. And that many other people who are in the everyday fog, they haven't gone through the cycle, so they can't wrap their head around what you understand now. They don't speak the same language that we speak, and my hope is they never speak it because they don't go through the cycle. But again, each and every day as I'm creating this video, more and more people are entering the narcissistic relationship, and other people are being discarded or ending it themselves or exiting it themselves. All it takes is one narcissist to ruin, literally, and I do mean literally, hundreds of lives. That is why this is a serious, serious concern for all of us. It's a serious, serious threat. And that is why we must go no contact and block these people, etc. And we must trust our instincts and intuition, no matter who the narcissist is and no matter what they say to you. Because these people are shapeshifters. They will continue to come at you looking in different shapes and sizes and different ethnicities, etc. They will always be around us. But the point is, if we starve them out and we don't give them supply, or we don't give them our attention or energy or resources, and we are not the unpaid helper, and we are not the sounding board who listens to somebody vent on a Friday night for 5 hours after you got out of work and you worked 10 hours. So now you've just spent 15 hours, 10 doing work and 5 listening to an empty shell. And then when you need you need a sounding board, or you need to bounce something off that same person, they're nowhere to be found. When you drown these people out, they don't have anywhere to turn. And that is the idea. The idea is to not give them your energy, to give your energy to yourself, and to understand how important you are and how beautiful you are, that you are the beautiful, bright, shining light that I speak of on the channel, because you are. Again, I'm going to share this with you. When you were hanging on to all the things of the relationship and you couldn't wrap your head around what narcissism was, you were thinking that that person had your best interest at heart. We now know that they don't, they didn't, and they never will. And it's the same thing they're doing with other people right now. They don't have anyone's best interest at heart but their own. But what they want people to do is to be hanging on to a thread, a breadcrumb of any semblance of a relationship that they had with them in the past. So this is how the narcissist thrives. When they have multiple irons in the fire and multiple sources of supply, hanging on to which person the narcissist will go to, that is a very, very vulnerable place for any human being to be in. And it is a position of power by the narcissist, because the narcissist can turn the charm on whenever they want to. They can turn it off whenever they want to. They can keep you hanging as long as you will until you go no contact, or once you go no contact, you won't be hanging on any longer, because you will have sent them a succinct, clear message that you're not playing the game any longer. You are no part of the toxicity any longer. You have understood the message loud and clear, and you want nothing to do with them. That is why, again, when I share these videos, I will let you know, when you are on the healing path, post-narcissistic relationship, once you've figured out who they are, that is when it is a very important period in your life. You need to understand that blocking them is the path, going no contact with them and all flying monkeys and people one person away from them is also the path. And slowing your life down and saving and conserving your energy and processing that relationship is instrumental. It's imperative. And nobody can tell you when you will heal, not one person. The healing path and healing, reaching the pinnacle of indifference, is a direct contingency or correlation with how much healing you place and how much time and effort you place into yourself. It is a direct result of that. So the more energy you focus on yourself and the more you understand how you entered the relationship, how you stayed so long, and how the narcissist was able to do what they did, the better you will heal. But in time, in your time, you will heal. It's a direct reflection of how much time you place into yourself. Understand what I'm sharing to you. When you are hanging on to something that will never come to fruition, meaning the narcissist will never change, they will never do anything that they tell you. They will continue to play mind games. They will continue to hoover. They will continue to keep you stuck in the past. When you understand that these people, they're literally energy vampires, and they need your confusion to fuel them. When you understand that and you go no contact, that's the best thing you could ever do, because I don't want you hanging on to anything other than your reality, which is here in the present moment, right here, right now. So again, before I close the video out, what we need to do is take the lifelong learning lessons from the past, and we need to not predict the future, and we need to focus on ourselves in the right here, right now, in the present day. That is where the abundance happens. That's where the doors of opportunities will open up for you. That's when all the growth takes place. It's when you are present and you're focused on yourself and you are living in that present moment. But the narcissist doesn't want you to do that. They want to keep you isolated. They want to keep you a shell of yourself. They want to keep you from healing. They want to continue to keep that door open just a crack so they can kick it wide open and send you back for another cycle. That is not what we do. What we do is we understand our value and our worth, and we say no to the narcissist once we get the wisdom and apply the tools. So everyone, that's the video. I hope you liked it. I loved doing it from the beautiful Carolinas. This is Andrew. Namaste. Have a great afternoon, evening, or morning, no matter where you are on the planet. You are not alone. God bless you. You are not alone. I love you all. And remember, if you're hanging on to something of the narcissist, really get the message. The narcissist can't change, and they know that you're hanging on, and they will do everything they can to make sure you don't heal. You need to get the message. Focus on yourself. Process the relationship. Slow your life down. Close your inner circle and really stay in that cocoon of boundaries, because that is the path. The path is to get yourself healed, get your cup full, and so you can go back out into the world in that third version of you, the strongest version of you known to humankind, because you have come through the fire and you've risen through the ashes like a phoenix, or you are about to do so, and you are headed towards that pinnacle of indifference, that mountaintop of indifference, where there is no room for the narcissist. There is only room for us that have healed, or us that are well on the healing path. I love you all. God bless you. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Have a great afternoon and enjoy yourselves. I love you. Bye.